Lois, I don't understand why I gotta sit through a chick flick.
Peter, shit's starting.
I had it all and then most of you, some and now none of you. Take me back to the night when men.
The Croods, the movie that gifted us as a society with one of the yummiest characters in all of animation history. That character, of course, being the icon, the god that is Grug. The movie also gives us the very wholesome story about this wee family and the journey that they go on together, and it is all around a top tier movie. However, in my opinion, it is also one of the most underappreciated movies in cinematic history. The movie is often overlooked when compared to other DreamWorks movies such as Shrek and Megamind, and even with its popularity on social media platforms such as TikTok over the last couple of months, I still think it is really underappreciated. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over this absolutely iconic movie and the impact that it had on not only my life, but on our society as a whole. The Croods was the 26th movie released by the animation studio DreamWorks, who have blessed us all as a society with many cinematic masterpieces over the years, such as Shrek, Megamind, and of course my favourite movie of all time, the Bee Movie. The movie's origins can be traced back to 2005, when it was originally going to be called Crude Awakening, which is a real knee slapper of a title, I must say. Now the cast of this movie is very star-studded, with the movie having iconic celebrities voice acting in it, such as Ryan Reynolds, Emma Stone, and of course Nicolas Cage. We as a society were blessed on the 22nd of March 2013, as that is the day that DreamWorks decided to release the masterpiece that is The Croods. And now I think it's time that we discuss just how perfect the movie truly is. The movie begins with an introduction to the icons that are the Croods by one of our main characters, Eep. She informs us that the Croods as a family are cave people and spend most of their days spooked to their cores and hiding from the spooky ooky creatures outside of their cave. Eep also talks about the fact that they struggle to find food and stuff due to the environment that they live in, and also the fact that they are like basically the last cave people alive, so you know they're having a bit of a hard time, you know. However, the reason that they are the last cave people and that they didn't die out with the other cave people is because of her iconic father and the best character in this goddamn movie, the yummy man that is Grug. Now Eep informs us that her iconic father helped them to survive, as he stuck to the rules and wouldn't let his family explore anything new outside of the cave, because this man is such an icon. He is such a godsend of a father. However, this bitch is so unappreciative of my guy Grug. Like, he's trying to protect you and this is the thanks he gets. What the hell is up with this family? Like, I'll talk about this a wee bit later on, right, because it is like a pure big part of the movie, like how they underappreciate my guy Grug, but like they're so horrible to him. Like, oh my god, you bitches don't deserve him. You don't deserve to have such a yummy man as your father. Like, oh my god.
I'm gonna control myself right now.
After this introduction, we are then met with the yummy man that is Grug. We are blessed with the sight of Grug. We are blessed with Grug on our screens. I'm not gonna lie, I nearly passed out when I seen him for the first time. What a yummy man. It is then revealed by Eep that her family have been living in a cave for 3 days straight because Grug is spooked to his core and just wants to protect them. This is so cute. Eep is quite annoyed by this, like she doesn't like the fact that her family have been living in this cave, but I'd like to point out that 3 days in a cave with Grug, like, we should be honoured. Like, what is your goddamn problem? Like, why do the characters in this movie just disrespect my guy Grug like that? They're such fools, I can't. We then meet the rest of the family and Grug is annoyed at them because they're all leaving the cave without waiting for Grug's say-so and waiting for his signal, because he just wants to keep them safe, right? And I don't understand why they're so rude to him about it. Like the reason that you guys are alive is because Grug put his all into keeping you all safe. This scene establishes that Grug's family are hools and don't appreciate him at all. Now, the family runs out into the wilderness in order to find food. However, they cannot locate any. The location of the food is unknown. That is until they find an egg that is being protected by this big bird. Now, as Danny DeVito once said, the 3 pillars of a functioning society are boiling denim, banging hools, and eating eggs. So the Croods really want this egg because it is very important to the well-being of society. The family snatch the egg from the bird and begin to have a fight in a chase sequence with other creatures in order to obtain this egg in order to keep this egg in their possession, you know. Eggs are very valuable resources, you know. Eggs are very nice. Eggs are very, very yummy like Grug, so we can't blame them. Now, thanks to Grug, of course, the family are saved from danger and actually win the egg, so they actually get to keep the egg because they won it thanks to Grug. Now, the family all have turns eating this egg, but they don't leave any for Grug. Like, your guy's flabbergasted. I don't even know what to say. The king being underappreciated yet again. Now, the family, after eating this egg, return to the cave. Grug then tries to cheer his family up by showcasing the fact that he is not only a strong, yummy man, but he is in fact a storyteller and an artist. He uses his words to create a beautiful picture, a beautiful story, because he is an absolute icon and he is a king. However, Eep isn't having any of it and continues to be a dumb bitch and doesn't want to listen to the story. Grug then finishes his absolutely breathtaking story and the family then go to sleep. However, my guy Grug is still upset because Eep is the absolute worst character and he's realised that he's raised the worst character in cinematic history. This is so sad. During the night, Eep hears noises and so she wakes up and goes to investigate what the noises are. She wakes up and sees a light that's basically shining through the cave and so she goes out to investigate what this is. She escapes the cave and follows the light up to the top of the mountain that she was climbing up earlier, and the light is revealed to be a fire that was started by this man whose name, drumroll everyone, is Guy. Very imaginative. We are brought back to the cave where Grug has awoken from his slumber and he informs the family that Eep is yet again missing. We are then brought back to Eep and Guy, who after skelting each other about decide to have a wee chat about this fire, and after the wee fire chat, Guy informs Eep that the world is ending and that they have to get to safety before they perish away. Now, Eep tells him to piss off and he gives her this wee shell and tells her to blow into it if she survives or needs his help during their journey to get away from the end of the world, and she just tells him to, you know, to piss off. Now, Guy then emerges into the darkness while Grug appears from the darkness. It's quite symbolic, you know. They return back to the cave and Grug acts very understandably salty towards Eep because she's just put everyone in danger. She left the cave open, like anybody could have got in there and attacked my guy Grug. Now, Eep informs her family that while she was out of the cave, she found something new and they all freak the hell out because they don't like new stuff because Grug has taught them that new things are bad, and you know what? He has a point. New things are very spooky, okay? My guy giving out very valuable life lessons as always. Now, she pulls out the shell to basically call Guy back so that she can show her family that it's not scary, like the new thing isn't scary, but they basically snatch the shell from her and begin to smash it, which makes Eep very, very upset. Now, after these shenanigans, the family then decide to go back to the cave. However, as they're walking towards the cave, the ground begins to shake and their cave is destroyed by fallen rocks. So now the family are just straight up homeless and this is so goddamn sad. However, the destruction of the cave reveals a cute wee forest type situation that was actually behind all the rocks that they were living in, and the family are left flabbergasted. My guys are gobsmacked, and Eep basically wants to go to this forest and investigate it and see what the hell's going on, while Grug tells her to shut up and to stay put because he just wants to protect his family. However, the family begin to get chased by this wee tiger looking bitch again and they jump into the forest to escape it. Now, Grug tells his family to follow him throughout the forest while they look for a new cave, and the family get up to some shenanigans in the forest. You know, they bump into this lion looking hole and they run away from it. However, while running away they get into even more shenanigans. The family escape the lion hole, but they're under attack by these bird looking holes, so Eep basically finds a way to call Guy, who comes back and saves them. The family start to attack Guy because his motives are unknown. They don't know who this man is, like he just appeared. Like, it's a bit suspicious if you ask me. Now, after this debacle, the family are then introduced properly to Guy, and Guy introduces the family to fire, and Grug iconically demands that Guy makes him fire. Like, I just think it's so iconic. And the family then spread the fire around the forest, you know, get up to some shenanigans with the fire. However, they managed to get the fire under control, and actually the Croods are both credited with inventing both fireworks and popcorn, so you know, your fave could never. The next day, Guy tries to run away, but Eep snatches him back, and Guy tells Eep that he needs to get to high ground because, as he mentioned before in the movie, the world is going to end, so he's trying to get to the top of this mountain so that he can get to high ground, like away from the danger below. However, Grug then snatches him away from from Eep and puts him into this like portable prison, which is actually just a tree stump type situation. Grug tells Guy that he's not going anywhere until they find a cave, and Guy tries to convince the family that in order to survive they can't just find a cave, they have to go to the top of the mountain, and the family are not having it. They're like, no bitch, we're going to find a cave. And so he basically lies to them and says that there's caves on the top of the mountain and that they have to basically go to the top of the mountain in order to get the cave. And so the family agree to this and start walking through the forest to get to the mountain in order to find a new cave. Now after walking for a bit, the family stops for some food and some shenanigans take place, you know, some little giggles happen. Guy promises Eep that if she lets him go, he'll let her help him hunt for food, which is, you know, her most favourite activity in the world, so she agrees. They set this trap and Eep is shook by this invention, and this is kind of the start of like Eep being really into modern technology, if you will. So this is like the first kind of thing where she's like, oh damn, like your way of life is better than my way of life. And so this is planting the seeds for later on in the movie, so just keep this in mind, right? Now the two of them put their plan into motion, and although it didn't work out the way that they thought it would, they still managed to kill the bird. So the family actually have a nice meal to eat. However, this makes Grug very salty because he wants to be the big man who gets the food and stuff, and Guy has kind of came in here with his big fancy inventions and has like took over Grug's role in the family almost. And so this makes Grug very, very upset. And I also want to point out the fact, right, that his family don't try and make Grug feel better about it. They're just so horrible to him. Like, this man has protected you guys your whole life. Like, your whole species is extinct, but you guys are still alive because of Grug. Like, oh my god, they just piss me off so much. Like, they don't deserve him.
You shouldn't actually even be alive, you snivelling little creep. I hate you so much, I want to shoot you in your face.
Now Grug's wife sees that Grug is a very sad individual, and so she basically tells him to tell a wee story in order to try and cheer him up. So Grug basically decides to, instead of telling a nice little story, he decides to be a little bit salty, which is understandable, you know what I mean? But he decides to tell a story about basically what Eep had done throughout the whole movie, and basically ends the story by saying that everybody dies, and like is basically trying to insinuate that this is all Eep's fault, and like, you know, he has a point. However, Guy tells the family the same story, but instead of being salty about it, he tells, you know, like in a nice way, and the family all think that this is a 10 out of 10 piece of work. Like, they are all shook to their cores. And this, however, makes Grug even more saltier than ever before, because this bitch has took everything from him. He's took everything that Grug is good at. He's took his protector role, he's took the fact that Grug is the provider, he's took that from him, and now he's took his art away. This makes Grug so incredibly salty. So you kind of think that Grug can't get any saltier, but oh honey, you're wrong, because he absolutely can. However, after hearing this little story, the family take camp again and go to sleep. The next day, the family wake up and set out on their journey again. However, Eep asks Guy about the lore of the story he told the night before. However, Guy says that he won't continue that story and he won't confirm any of the theories, any of the game theories that she has about his story, unless she frees him from that wee prison he's in. So basically, Eep finds a way to basically get Guy away from Grug. Now basically this actually results in the family landing on these wee spiky things, and they can't get past them, like they're covering the whole path. So Guy can walk across them because he's got shoes on, but the rest of the family are real lovers of feet, you know. They like to put those pavement grippers on display, and they don't know what shoes are, so they can't walk across because it hurts their little feet. Because of this, whenever they stand on the spikes, they get a great deal of pain, you know, pain and suffering of the feet. It's a real shame. However, the fact that Guy can stand on these spikes and Grug can't stand on the spikes without being in immense pain makes Grug, you guessed it, a very salty hole. Now Guy takes this as his chance to escape, but after running away he has a wee bit of a change of heart and decides to turn back around. However, before helping them cross the spikes, he says to them that there needs to be some changes, you know, and that he doesn't want to be kept in the prison for any longer. Reluctantly, Grug agrees, and Guy basically helps the family out by giving them some custom shoes, you know, and they all manage to cross the spikes. We then have a wee montage of the family walking through the forest, you know, getting into some shenanigans. Now in these scenes, Guy manages to outshine Grug in every single aspect, and it leaves him even more saltier than the last time. However, these scenes also highlight the romance between Guy and Eep, which also makes Grug very, very, very angry as well, because that's like his child, you know. And Grug is essentially Guy's biggest hater. He does not stand this man, and to be fair, no one stands this man. This man is very crusty. Now after this like montage, the family basically arrive at this maze type situation, and Guy basically gives all the family members their own shells like he did to Eep earlier in the movie, and he tells them that basically these shells mean that they can call each other if they get lost. Now Guy tells the family that he thinks that they should all split up in order to find the fastest route to the mountain, and that they shouldn't all go the same way, like just in case there's like danger or whatever. However, Grug of course is very against this idea, and once again is disregarded by all of his dumbass family members. However, as they're discussing this, a gust of wind blows all the family members down into the maze, and they get separated anyway. Like, even nature is disrespecting my guy Grug, like I can. They all begin walking through the maze, finding their own way through different obstacles and learning that they don't need to be spooked anymore. A very valuable lesson. Now Eep and Guy manage to find each other and manage to escape first and have a cute wee moment and stuff, but the family ruin it for them. Now Grug, however, can't make his way out himself because he's really upset that his family have basically been bullying him this whole trip. Like, they're so horrible to him. So Grug is really upset, which is like understandable, because he just finds it hard to adapt to change. So because Grug couldn't make it out himself, his wife has to go back in and find him and like get him out and stuff. Now when Grug gets back, however, he's very salty that they're all in the tree, and he tries to get his family members to come down, but they basically just tell him to piss off and to shut up because they're, of course they are, surprised by the actions of his family anymore. Eep tells her family that she's basically going to go with Guy and not go with them to find a cave. Now this really upsets Grug because his child is like trying to leave with this random man, right? But to make matters worse, right, you think it can't get worse for my guy Grug, but oh honey, you're wrong, because she tries to convince the rest of the family to go with them. However, they then just start to slander Grug, like they just start to disrespect him once again. Like, they don't deserve him. Like, oh my god, like why are they so horrible? It's like, I don't understand how like anybody can watch this movie and like sympathise with the family. And Grug is really upset because like his family are just like pure hating on him for no reason. Like, oh my god. The next day the family continue on their travel and arrive at the mountain. However, as they arrive, the ground begins to shake again, and Grug manages to spot a cave, and he tries to get his family to go into the cave in order to protect them from like the gusts of wind and stuff like that. However, they all refuse to go into the cave. They basically tell Grug that he needs to chill out, and Eep tells him that they're all going to go with Guy instead of going with Grug, and this drives Grug absolutely insane, and he tries to scalp Guy about, which, you know what, Guy had it coming. However, as they're fighting, they basically get stuck in this like black tar looking substance. I don't really know what this is, right? Guy basically tells Grug that nobody gets out of this substance, and that's how his family died, and that's why he's all by himself. Now Grug and Guy basically have like a wee heart to heart, and it's very wholesome, and Grug tells Guy that he trusts him to come up with an idea to basically get them out of the black tar looking nonsense. Guy comes up with this idea, and they basically manage to escape the black tar, so that's very cute. Now this teaches Grug that new ideas aren't always scary and bad and stuff, and it's so wholesome that Grug has to adapt to these hools who have been so horrible to him. But anyway, just shows the type of man that he is. Now after this, the family are reunited, and Grug tells Guy to basically lead the way and that he's in charge now, which I think just shows how mature and how iconic Grug truly is. Like, what an icon. They begin to run up this hill to the top of the mountain and believe that they're safe. However, the ground starts exploding and shaking, and they realise that they are not safe anymore. Now the family start to freak out, and ironically enough try to convince Grug to find them a cave, because, you know, they always come running back, don't they? However, Grug tells them to shut up and that they aren't going back to a cave anymore. He tells them that they need to follow the sun and gives a wee inspirational speech because he's such an inspirational king. Now basically, Grug, to save his family, throws them all one by one across to safety. However, it is implied that Grug is going to stay behind and perish away because no one can throw him. However, it is shown that he actually managed to stay alive, and he actually took cover in this wee cave. Now because Grug thinks that his family are in danger, it makes him come up with an idea on how to get across to them. Now Grug's idea is to basically piss off the birds from earlier in the movie that Guy saved them from, and he basically gets the birds to lift him and the lion bitch across to his family, and he basically saves all these other creatures and stuff as well because he's such a selfless king. He's such an icon. I love him so much. I honestly think he's one of my favourite animated characters. Like, he's so iconic. However, when all hope seemed lost, the icon managed to get across to the other side and is reunited with his family. This is so wholesome. Now, after they're all reunited, they all begin to explore their new home, and this absolute masterpiece of a movie ends. This movie was such an incredible cinematic experience. It had funny and wholesome moments, and it gave us a cute wee message that we shouldn't be spooked by everything, and that sometimes taking risks is okay. You know, very inspiring stuff. However, the most incredible thing that this movie gave us is the incredibly yummy man that is Grug. So it's an absolute 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Now, this movie was a huge success for DreamWorks, as most of their projects are. The movie had a budget of $175 million and managed to gain a total of $587.2 million at the box office, which is all thanks to how iconic and absolutely yummy my guy Grug is. The movie was so successful that in 2013 it was announced that a sequel was in the works for this absolute masterpiece. However, throughout this video I have mentioned that this movie is really underappreciated, and I think that the sequel and the kind of drama behind the sequel is like a really good example as to why this is. So basically, development for the sequel, according to the Croods wiki, took place between 2014 and 2015. However, in November 2016, those slags at DreamWorks cancelled the Croods 2, breaking hearts and spirits all across the land. However, the bald gods decided to bless us as a society, and in 2017 it was announced that the Croods 2 would be happening again. This truly brought joy to our miserable planet, and in 2022 COVID was single-handedly destroyed by the Croods 2. Thank you so much for your service, Grug. Now, the movie was also turned into a Netflix show and actually got 4 seasons, which again is very iconic, and we don't expect anything less from such an iconic franchise. The movie for the most part got very positive reviews and was very loved at the time. However, it seems as though the movie was just kind of forgotten about by the public due to their ignorance, and even when like the sequel came out and stuff, I don't really remember people being that like into it like the way they were with the first one. So it's as if it just kind of went under the radar a wee bit, which I think again kind of feeds into how underappreciated the franchise truly is. That was until, however, people began to stop being so goddamn rude and opened their minds and hearts to the facts and logic that The Croods is an absolute cinematic masterpiece. The Croods has had such an incredibly huge impact on our society and has single-handedly shaped me into the yummy man that I am today. However, this movie, as most DreamWorks movies do, has also had a humongous impact on internet culture as well. Now, most of these stem from TikTok, I'm not gonna lie, right? And I'm not sure if it's just my For You page that's literally just covered in the Croods content, right? But I'm gonna go on a limb and say that like maybe it isn't. So like I'm gonna say these are TikTok trends, but they absolutely might not be, right? So there are different impacts that this movie has had on internet culture, including scenes from the movie that have gone viral. Now, these scenes have been used as meme templates on TikTok and have went completely viral. However, my favourite Croods TikTok trend is the trend of making ship edits with Grug and different animated characters. No, I'm not joking, right? This is a real and magical thing, right? It really exists, and it is my favourite thing in the entire world. Now, most of these edits include Shrek being the main love interest. However, I've also seen them include like love triangles with like Megamind and Gru from Despicable Me. Like, they're honestly so wholesome, and I get like so invested in the stories. Like, they're actually so good, like, oh my god. However, there are also like other TikTok trends of people using Grug as a character and just kind of making videos about him. Like, sometimes they'll make like edits of him or art with him, and I think that Grug has had the biggest cultural impact on our society and on internet culture because he's just such a lovable, selfless, yummy man, and he just has such a wholesome personality. Like, he's such an inspiration, and he's inspired such beautiful art, but has also inspired all of us in society to become better people. He is such an icon. In conclusion, this movie is an absolutely underrated masterpiece that I think everybody has to watch, right? It is so good. The characters in the story are both so much fun to watch, and it's all around a 10 out of 10 viewing experience. However, Grug is the biggest icon in cinematic history, and the fact that the movie gave us him is why it truly is such a godsend of a movie.